Our practitioner this morning is Diane Clemens. Our practitioners do prayer work and consciousness work for the center, for the community, and for each of you. If you have something in your life that you would like support for or you would like to celebrate, talk to your practitioners. They're here for you, especially on Sundays. They're available, and also by phone. There's a prayer request box in the back, or if you want to put in a written request for yourself or someone you love, you can do that. And we also have a phone mailbox where you can leave a confidential message if you decide that you need prayer sometime during the week. Because I don't know about you, but that spiritual stuff doesn't just happen on Sundays. Yeah, so reach out whenever you can, and the practitioners are happy to know the best for you. We have fabulous music this morning. We've got Jeff on keyboards, and he is accompanying Tina Meeks. Prepare to have the roof lift off. All right, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to invite you wherever you are to get comfortable. Turn off your phones. Turn off your brain for a minute. Clear your laps, clear your mind, and take a deep breath. Let the sound of the bowl take you within. And breathing into that heart space, that place at your very core, where there is spirit, where there is love, where there is light. And know that from this place, you and I and Spirit are all one.
And in this holy, holy moment, we know there is one power, one presence, and one life. And that power and that presence and that life is our life now. We are consciously aware of the one presence of Spirit as we gather together to share the holiday season together as a family, a church family. Today we see God in the faces of everyone. We are grateful for our friends, and we are grateful for our divine spiritual center. We are grateful to you, our church family. And taking these truths into our hearts, I invite you to open your eyes and say, "Good morning. I'm glad you're here," to the people next to you. Now our reading, I threw in this one because I just happened to hear it. It's a Zen mantra. And I thought it was very nice for the holidays. Their mantra says, "Accept what is and allow the negative energy to flow through you without affecting you." Well, pretty darn wise. And from Reverend Dr. Larry King, one of my favorite ministers, he writes, "In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes clarifies that the source of our physical nature, whoever becomes receptive to the idea of peace, poise, and calm, whoever embodies these divine realities, finds them flowing through, and they become more peaceful, more poised, and more calm." So today, in the midst of any turmoil or trouble, we are receptive to the peace of God. We look past outward choices to reflect our own inward peaceful ideas, and we enjoy the holiday season together. Ta-da!
Wow, happy holiday. Not that one? Oh, okay. Well, this is one that you should know and you should remember. This is a great time for bringing back things that have good memories attached to it. So, there we go. Hang all the mistletoe. I'm gonna get to know you better. Yes. This Christmas, and as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna together. This Christmas fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me. Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. Presents and cards are here. My world is filled with cheer and you. This Christmas, and as I look around, your eyes outshine the town they do. This Christmas, fireside is blazing bright, and we're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me and you. Shake a hand now. Come on. Christmas, I am. Well, you know the fireside is blazing bright, and we're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me. Yeah. Shake a hand, everybody. Come on and trim the tree. We're gonna have a good time. Yes, we are. We're gonna make it happy. Hey, hey. I love Christmas. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. All right, that gets you in the spirit, doesn't it? It does. All right, so we're lighting our candle, our purple candle again for the second week of Advent, which is a Catholic ritual leading us up to the Christmas holiday, which we talk about as the birth of a higher consciousness, a consciousness of oneness. And week 1, if you remember, was all about hope, about that expectation for good, that vision that we have of possibility, and I was likening it to preparing for the birth of a baby. First thing that happens is you go, oh, looks like we're going to have a baby. I wonder what that will be like, and you start visioning for all of the good and the beauty and the joy that comes from this process. And so week 2 is love. And in this sense, love is that growth of self-awareness. It's what's happening within. And it's the idea that as we become more self-aware, we begin to let go of and clear out that which does not serve us. So we make room for something new, not unlike clearing the furniture out of the spare bedroom to turn it into a nursery. So this is our candle of love for week 2 of Advent. So the title today is Warmth, Food, and Love. And it comes from a quote that I heard. I was listening to this remarkable story of the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And the title comes from Mathieu Colette, who is a French-Canadian blacksmith. And he was telling his story and how he came to be involved in the restoration process of the cathedral. And he was saying that in the 90s, he traveled to Paris to be an apprentice under the third generation blacksmiths, which still practiced the trade. And so he was learning from the masters of the skills that had been passed down through generations. And one of the things that he talked about was that every small village and town had a blacksmith. And it was necessary because they made the tools that allowed the town to be built. You wouldn't have had horseshoes and you wouldn't have had buildings because you wouldn't have had axes and you wouldn't. In other words, everything you need to build and create was at the hands of the smith. And that the quality of the town, the quality of the village, was directly connected to the quality of the tools. And so he wanted to learn from the best. And so he studied in Paris. He's been practicing as a blacksmith in Canada for over 30 years. And he was invited, he was called to come and assist with the restoration. They needed someone to lead the young smiths that were all coming together from everywhere in order to show them how these tools were made, because the intention was not to simply put a roof over the cathedral again, but to actually continue the legacy of the artisan's workmanship that created it in the first place. That roof was hundreds of hand-hewn oak beams, and the roof was lead. So you can imagine that when those beams burned, how much history, how much workmanship was lost. The whole story of Notre Dame and where it is today just caught my attention, and to me it fits in well with this idea this month we're talking about of endings and beginnings. I remember how I felt watching the footage of the fire as the spire collapsed, as the roof caved in, as the altar was crushed. I remember thinking how traumatic it was, that of the smoke and the water damage that must be happening inside. And even though they were able to remove many of the ancient artifacts out of the cathedral, there was still a lot of damage. And just the paint on the walls, right? The colors of the cathedral itself. And they were very afraid for the windows, the stained glass windows. The windows survived. Everything else was, in fact, damaged by the soot and the smoke. The president of France stood in front of the smoke that was still billowing and told everyone that they would rebuild. They would rebuild within 5 years, and it would be even better than before. And that, I remember thinking at the time, that sounds like someone very passionate in the heat of the moment, and how in the world could they possibly rebuild a 900-year-old cathedral in 5 years? We're at 5 years and 9 months. It opened this weekend. So the idea of this refurbishment, this restoration, for me, ties in directly with the spiritual principles that we teach. So this cathedral was known as the Cathedral of the People. So over 900 years ago, when it was built, it wasn't financed the same way that most Catholic cathedrals were financed in the day. The church itself, the land gentry for a particular area were the primary donors for building a great edifice. But in the case of Paris, it was primarily the common people that financed this cathedral. It was the farmers dedicating a portion of the sales from their harvests to the building. It was the prostitutes of the city dedicating a percentage of their take for the building of the cathedral. This was not just any Catholic church in France. It has always been of the people. Now, there were over 1,000 artisans that came from all over the world. And I was wondering, he said he was going to make it more beautiful than it was, and I was listening to people being interviewed on this program, and one of the authors who studied this restoration, she said, "More beautiful, how could you? It's stunning already." But this combination of workmanship from the artisans and the technologies that are available to us today have restored this building to something no one has seen in centuries. There's a process of coating the walls, the stone, the floor, all of the surfaces, and then peeling that off. And it takes with it not only the soot from the fire, but all of the underlying grime from hundreds of years of parishioners passing through that space. So the colors, what she said was, the colors of everything that was painted is once again vibrant, as it would have been when it was built. The stone has been cleaned and clarified. So where it once was a dingy sort of a muddy grayish color, it is now that soft yellowish sort of sandstone color that it was meant to be. And so it is in fact more beautiful than it was. The fire seemed like an ending. It seemed like the cathedral would be lost, that maybe it would be rebuilt, but they talked about all these fantastical ideas they had for doing it. Well, if we're going to do it, let's do it better. Let's put in a fountain that flows and like a pond and all this stuff. And it was like, no. Once all those ideas got out on the table, they went back to, you know what? Let's make her what she was. Let's make her what she was. And the author of this book, I apologize, I don't have her name. She said that every designer and architect and craftsman that she talked to in the planning stages of this, every single one of them wanted to restore the grandeur and simplicity of what had existed before. So this combination, I'm sure that machines were used to lift those new oak beams up to the ceiling. But the beams themselves were crafted by the axes made by our blacksmiths who worked in the ancient ways. So the hue marks, anybody watch Barnwood Builders? You know all about that, right? Axes make marks on the wood. It's very important. It tells you how it was done. That has been preserved with greater clarity and just as much beauty, if not more, than before. And it's still a cathedral of the people. One of the heads of the fundraising arm of the restoration was in process even before the fire. One of the heads said that after the fire, in 1 hour, he had over 400 donations being transmitted into his organization, and it blew up a smartphone. Crashed it. It's hard to crash a smartphone, even 5 years ago. So from 2019 and smoke rising to this weekend, something amazing has happened. Over 340,000 people donated from 15 countries. A total of at least $364 million of the restoration process. This is not just a church in France. This is still a cathedral of the people. It's not just a Catholic church in Paris. This is known and loved and recognized as something valuable, as a symbol of our life, our culture. It's recognized all over the world. If you've ever been to Paris, I can't imagine you would be there without seeing Notre Dame. You see the pictures, but it's not the same. You stand there in person, and it's amazing and extremely huge and very intricate. Such workmanship. So this weekend were all the ceremonies to reopen it. So not having been a Catholic for a very, very, very long time, I was very interested in what would happen for this. And so one of the first things that happened is the Archbishop, did anybody watch it on TV? It was televised, supposedly. Yeah, okay, so yesterday. The Archbishop takes his bishop's staff, the processional, shepherd's crook, the mitre that he carries, This one was made from the charred wood that came from the ceiling. He takes his staff and he knocks at the gate. And when he knocks at the gate, he is answered from within by the choir. And he does this 3 times, and then the gates open. Last night, they did this process, this ritual of awakening the organ, reawakening the organ. So this 800 pipe organ that is as old as the church, of course was damaged, of course was covered in soot and toxic smoke. It was the dust from the lead in the roof that covered everything. So the organ itself had to be disassembled, everything cleaned, put back together. So in order to rededicate the organ, so to speak, the Archbishop called out 8 different phrases, 8 different statements. The first one starting with, "Awaken, you organ, sing again the praises of God." And it was answered by music being played by the organist on the organ, back and forth, back and forth. They call it a conversation. So once again, music filled this sanctuary from the organ which had been supposedly lost. It wasn't physically damaged in that nothing fell on it that couldn't be repaired, but it did have to be cleaned and reconstructed. What I also liked about this is that they said it took 6 months to retune it. Now the pipes, there's over 800 pipes. The smallest is no bigger than a pen, and the largest is the size of a human torso. So it has to be tuned, like a piano has to be tuned. And they did it took 6 months, and they did it at night because they needed to do it in the silence. They needed to work when it was quiet in the city, when there wasn't any other work going on around them. And this morning, the altar was rededicated, was blessed at the beginning of the first Mass. The other thing that warmed my heart was that there were heads of state there. There were a couple of speeches made. There were a lot of bishops and cardinals and other Catholic clergy in attendance. There were billionaire donors who had helped with the restoration costs. And those people served by the social services organizations within Paris brought their clients. So the poorest of the poor in Paris, next to heads of states and cardinals, all there to celebrate the rededication of this cathedral of the people. How often in our own lives are we covered with toxic dust? Is our true self buried beneath poisonous ideas or hatred or fear? How often is our heart of hearts light dimmed by the darkness all around us, by what feels like it caved in on us? When we're burned through, when we're at some kind of tragic ending in our life, it's so easy to think that it's all over, that everything, our whole life is over. And how often are we restored in the silence that follows, in the space we take and the space we make to give ourselves room and time to heal, to realign, to be tuned into the sacred that still lives within us. It's a very simple tool, the silence, to bring us back to center. And we use vision. We think about what is possible. We remember that there's always more to life than what's right here, even as big and dark as this may seem. And we use other tools. We use new technology, right? We use new methods. We go to workshops. We go to retreats. We listen to podcasts. We we lull ourselves to sleep with meditations on our ear pods. Those ancient practices of meditation and prayer and community support, these are the things that reaffirm our values, that remind us of what means something in our lives, and allows us to get grounded again, to realize that we are built on this earth which contains everything we need in order to build and create and become. Endings, when we think of endings, I think of, releasing things, letting go. Whatever it is, it's done. I gotta let it go. And if I'm gonna move forward at some point, I have to release it and redirect my attention forward or upward. And beginnings always come with this creative surge of energy, right? And when something new is happening, it's like, okay, let's go. And again, we direct our attention and our motion forward. But really, endings and beginnings are just a framework that we use to measure life in this relative world, to set a sense of scale. Is this big or small? Is it easy or hard? It's what we use to define where something starts and ends, what the form is. But the fire really wasn't an ending at all. And endings and beginnings are a construct. There's a quote from T.S. Eliot that says in part, "To make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from." Stephen Covey says, when we pick up one end of the stick, we pick up the other, right? Endings and beginnings go together. But Robert Frost says, ends and beginnings, there are no such things. There are only middles. Year's end is neither an end nor a beginning, but a going on, with all the wisdom that experience can instill in us. You see, it really wasn't an ending at all. There really aren't endings and beginnings. Life is more like one of those rail push carts. You've seen those pictures of the two men on the cart on the railroad tracks, and they each have handles in their hands, and one's up and one's down, and they do this. And you don't have the up or the down without the other. It's both together that create the motion that move us forward. It is really the story of the infinite flow of life unfolding through and as us, wherever we are, whatever is happening. The person talking about the restoration, the author said, the blondness of the stone, the brilliance of the paintings, the light through the stained glass windows, all the artworks, all the paintings that were cleaned, the statues that were restored, he said, all of that did not exist before the fire. And yet here it is. We once again have the Cathedral of Notre Dame in the heart of Paris. Do you know that in Paris, if you're in Europe and you set your GPS for Paris, Notre Dame is kilometer zero. That's where all of the measurements come from. That's where the counting begins. What is your kilometer zero? Where do you come from when you are seeking the sacred, when you are looking for that heartstone, when you are looking for that connection that we have one to another? Every single heart has light in it. And each heart is part of the one light called life. And each light is reflected uniquely. We are like that stained glass window, right? Each of us a unique color and shape and clarity, and maybe there are facets that allow the light to refract, but it's still one light from within that is burning brightly. that is shining through us individually, uniquely. When you find something that is a point of connection for people, whether it's the family dinner table at Christmas time, or it's a cathedral in Paris, or it's the giant cross in El Salvador, or it's the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, or it's Grandma's rose garden, that place where people connect and reflect and know that life is of value, of meaning, of warmth, of light, that we are fed by that. That warmth that we seek and the food that we need and the love that we crave, those necessities of being human, are not only fulfilled in form or by places or with other people, they are fulfilled in our recognition of connection, in our realization that life is one life, that as different as we may appear, as much as we may not identify with some things in the world, the life that is within all things is still one life. Parker Palmer was writing about the death of President Kennedy in 1963. And he wrote this, which applies to what we're talking about today. He said, "He was far too young to die, and I was too young to have my world unravel as it did. I grieved my loss, our loss, then started to reweave a work, a life, a world, not knowing then what I know now. The world unravels always and must be rewoven time and again. You must keep collecting threads, threads of meaning, threads of hope, threads of purpose, energy, and will, along with all the knowledge and skill that every weaver needs. You must keep on weaving, stopping only to repair your broken loom. Weave a cloak of warmth and light against the dark and cold, a cloak in which to wrap whoever comes your way in need, the world with all its suffering, those near at hand, yourself. Then you will find along the way the thread with which you might reweave your own tattered life, the thread that more than any other weaves in warmth and light, making both the weaver and the weaving true. The red thread they call love, the thread you hold, then hand along, saying to another, you. We are called by the sacred. And when we are, the music within us rings out. And when we are darkened and burned and crumbled, that light that is within each of us is offered to relieve the darkness. And the world celebrates. Namaste. Taking that deep breath. And just feeling the air move through your lungs, through your body, and out again. Drawing inspiration from this idea that the sacred music lives within. That the very light of life burns in your own heart. That spirit illuminates and animates all things, all people. And that here in this moment we are warm, we are fed, we are loved. And what I know to be true is that I am that love in expression. That all the pieces and parts, shining or broken, crumbled or magnificent, are all the pieces of life that make up all of life. And I know too that this sense of love, this warmth of life within me, is shared by others, with others. It is the light and the warmth of life itself that we find in community, that we find in family, that we find with lovers and friends. It is the energy that feeds and sustains us and gives us the courage, the way to keep moving forward, to keep reaching upward, to keep finding the blessings of life wherever we are. I am grateful for the awareness that life is one continuous flow, and I may call something an ending or a beginning, and yet my heart knows that life continues to unfold for me, through me, as me, and for all those around me. That each and every movement is one of love, even if it's disguised as fear, even when it's called hatred. That within the heart, there is a desire that is unmet for warmth, for food, for love. And that each of us, knowing our own light and sharing it with others, one by one, we heal this world. One oak beam at a time, one craftsman, one moment of attention, one smile, one shared meal at a time. Love is who and what we are, and for this I am truly grateful. For I know that in love, in the mind of God, in that greater consciousness of oneness, all things unfold perfectly, in space and in time, for the good, raising us up. It is the very nature of life, and so it is. All right. Let's have our affirmation, which you'll find in your program. I invite you to repeat after me so that our friends watching at home can participate. In this moment, I am warm, I am fed, I am loved.
In this moment, I am warm, I am fed, I am loved.
I am the light in the darkness lit from within.
I am the light in the darkness lit from within.
And so it is. Please, let's welcome Tina Meeks back to the microphone.
Well, everybody, we might think of it as an ending, but it is a beginning soon of a new year. I wrote this song years ago because I was born in December. And this is my time to celebrate from now to the end of the year. So everybody, let's enjoy. Feel free to just enjoy yourself, right? Yeah. It's December. Come on, celebrate and remember the good times and the bad. Come on, celebrate from now to the end of the year. Light a candle, everybody. Dance the night away. Let your hair down. Leave your cares behind. Moving on now. From now to the end of the year. It's that time again. We're having a party. So let's get it started. From now till the end of the year. Light a candle. Shine it through the land. Be helpful, extend a hand from now to the end of the year. It's December. Come on, celebrate and remember the good times and the bad. Come on, celebrate from now to the end of the year. Everybody, dance the night away. Let your hair down. Come on. Leave your hairs behind. Moving on now. Don't stop. From now to the end of the year. Come on, let's joy. Come on, everybody, let's party. It's December, let's celebrate. It's December, let's celebrate. It's December, let's celebrate. It's December, let's celebrate. Come on! Summer, spring, and fall, just forget it all. Now that winter's here, come on, spread some cheer. It's a holiday, time to laugh and play. All the party lights make the season bright. Love is in the air, music everywhere. Time to celebrate, time to celebrate. It's a holiday. Oh, it's a holiday. Yeah, it's December. Yeah, it's December. Hey, it's December. Let's celebrate. It's December. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
You know, she's such a shy, retiring presence. So quiet and demure. Thank you, Tina Meeks, and thank you, Jeff. All right, let's take a moment and celebrate this community that we are a part of. I'm going to invite our ushers to come forward. And know that with your contribution, you are supporting not only this space that we sit in here, but the teachings that we offer, the classes that we do, the opportunities for people to see another way of living. So say with me, if you will, our prosperity affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. I'll just remind you also that if you are away from the center, you can text to give. There's our little cards on the back table that give you the phone number that allow you to send in a contribution from wherever you are. And know that it always goes to not only keep the lights on, but to help keep hearts open. Thank you. All right, so what's going on? We got stuff. We got holiday stuff. We got fun stuff. First of all, we have lunch after service today, next door in the hall. We do have a gift exchange game. If you brought a gift that's under $10 to just have some fun with, we can do that. We're going to have some great food. I want to thank everybody that helped decorate and set everything up. I know some of those people are probably over there now. And anyone who brought dessert to contribute, that's lovely too. We'll go right after service is done over to the hall and make some cheerful noise, shall we? All right. Let's see. We have a couple extra services coming up for the holiday. I did not announce it last week, but it was in the e-blast. If you see those, I know you kind of see them every week, and maybe you just look at the title and then skip right over them. But this last one had something extra in it. It said we have an extra service on Wednesday night this week. Wednesday night at 7, we're doing a service of remembrance It's an acknowledgement that the holidays don't always feel like the most wonderful time of the year, that we have maybe lost people, our situations have changed, there's grieving going on, there's needs to be a place for us to hold all that we are, including sadness and grief and whatever else comes up. And so we're having a service here in the chapel at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night this week on the 11th. And it's open to anyone, so anyone may come. And we will take time to sing and do some prayer work and light a few candles and remember those that we are missing and honor them, honor their memory. That's what Wednesday night is for. So I encourage you to come, and again, it's open to everyone. The following Wednesday, on the 18th, is the Wednesday before Christmas, which is our traditional candlelight service. And that service is a lot of fun, a lot of music, a metaphysical Christmas story. So again, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock here in the chapel. There's a lot of sing-along because you get to sing all your favorite Christmas carols and learn perhaps a new way of looking at Christmas that you hadn't considered before. So I invite you to come on Wednesday the 18th to the candlelight service. This is the one that you always see the pictures of, where we're standing in a circle at the end in the dark with our candles lit, singing Silent Night. So it ends on a very beautiful, peaceful, sacred note. So I do encourage you to come for that. Let's see. We have a couple of donation opportunities here at the center. There's two that we're doing. One is the continuation of Foothill Family Shelter. We are supporting their clients through this winter season. So this month we are doing winter wear Sundays, gloves, hats, scarves, anything warm that the shelter will then pass on to the families and the individuals that they serve. So we have a basket in the back for those items. Next to that, there is a giant toy box. We have one more week to bring in new unwrapped toys for the kids that are served by the Children's Foundation of America, which is the foster youth. Their organization is based right here in Claremont, and they take care of and support hundreds of kids that are in the foster youth program. So any toy, any age, if you want to list, there's a QR code on the flyer. The flyers are in the back. And there's a link to the website and the QR code that has a list, but it's really anything for anyone, any age. It's for anything, any kid under 18, teenager presents like, headphones and expensive stuff. And then, art supplies, and then baby clothes and toys and anything you can think of. So we would love to have that box full next Sunday, because next Sunday is the deadline. They come pick it up. They take it back, they do the wrapping, and then they distribute it to the children. All right, we also have our, that's for Foothill Family Shelter. We also have that's for the Children's Association. The clothes are for Foothill Family Shelter. And of course, non-perishable food items are always welcome. So if you'd like to bring in food to donate, that goes to either Foothill Family or Hope Partners. Okay, what else we got? Okay, is Mickey and Chris, right? Yes. Okay, so Mickey, are you still here? I think she walked over to the other building. Okay, so Mickey and Chris are part of our nominating committee. Nominating for what, you may ask? For your opportunity to serve on the board of the center. Every year, we replace a couple of board positions. A couple people roll off, a couple people come on. And we meet once a month to take care of the business of running the center, as well as coming up with ideas for events and projects and whatever else allows us to serve our greater community. If you are interested, you can talk to our nominating committee, or they will come around and talk to you, because they'll be looking for people who might be interested in serving. You can ask any question you want. We'll have a little get together. Is this something that's really for me? You can find things out about it, or you can continue. You can start by just talking to any of our board members that can tell you a little bit about what it is. Most of the time, we have a whole lot of fun. It doesn't feel too much like work, right? Everybody that's on the board go like this. It doesn't feel like work. No, it doesn't feel like work. Actually, it's actually a lot of fun. It's a great group of people, and hey, we do stuff like lunches and parties and stuff. Okay, That's coming up. That annual meeting and the election actually takes place in February, but we have to start early because we want to give people time to think about it and ask their questions and get excited about it. All right. I think that's it. Direct, did you sing yesterday in the choir? The Christmas chorale, how was that for you? Awesome. A lot of people went. It was awesome. Yes. So Susie and Drac are part of the Claremont Chorale, and they did their Christmas concert yesterday afternoon. So I'm glad to, of course it went well, but I'm just glad to hear everybody go, awesome. Yeah, okay. All right, my friends, I think that's it. So let's stand up, move to the sides of the room. If you don't know the words, just clap.
Take a look at the person next to you and say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together in the name of love. From every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color.